Alright, hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a tier ranking on the various heroes within Marvel Rivals. I am simply going to be doing them in the order that they are presented, so I'm not going to be doing like tanks first, duelist second, strategist third, or anything. I'm just going to go down the list. I'm going to explain why I think each person's within each tier. And again, this is my opinion based off of my play pattern, based off of my skill level, based off of the time that I had in Quick Match. So, this is not a definitive list by any means. So, first off, we have Storm. She is a duelist, known as one of the aerial units like Iron Man. I'm gonna put her in C. I believe she's kind of like in this weird mid ground where she's almost a strategist with her ability to buff the team with either buffing their damage or their movement speed, and it kind of takes away from her own utility. I put her at the highest C, and she's going to remain at the highest C above all the other Cs because of her ultimate. Her ultimate is a very powerful one that can take out a huge chunk of the enemy team, allows you for good placement, good harassment, but her actual kit is very lackluster. Her little lightning bolt is just basically a different version of her normal attack and stuff like that. So she just needs something else, and I'm not exactly sure what that is, but in her current iteration, she's a C. Next, we have Doctor Strange, who I'm going to put at an S. With his high damage capability as a Vanguard, his massive shield that regenerates, his ability to portal people throughout the map, and his ultimate that also allows him to stun the entire enemy team if placed properly, it can be game changing. He's easily, in my opinion, the best tank, but people will argue with me and say that Groot is probably better, which is why we'll go ahead and put Groot as well in S with his incredibly high health pool, his controlling ultimate, his pretty good damage, and most notably the mass amount of walls that he can put up. He can close down choke points, he can create choke points. So with the amount of control that he gives your team, it's easy to see why he's an S tier, and honestly it's just who do you want to play more, Strange or Groot whenever it comes to tanks. And I know it just seems like I'm putting a bunch of people in S, but I'm also going to be putting Hela in S. She has incredibly high damage potential. Her damage also cascades because whenever you kill somebody, they explode. That damage can go to somebody else, and if that kills somebody, that can explode and go to somebody else, and so forth. She can nearly one-shot low-health heroes if she gets a critical hit on them. She tears apart sky heroes such as Storm and Iron Man, and her ultimate is just fantastic. Next, we have Bruce Banner, who I will be dropping down into a B. He has a good health pool, however, the Bruce Banner Hulk aspect of it is kind of. I'm not going to say lazy design, just don't think it's well designed as of right now. It takes too long to turn back into the Hulk. The Bruce Banner doesn't do enough damage. He doesn't have enough escape. It's just kind of it's a weird hindrance, I suppose. He probably needs a little bit more health in his Hulk form, or a little bit more damage. Something to just make him stand out a bit more. He's a harassment tank, but having to dive in on the team while they're just blasting you and blasting you and blasting you, I don't think it's the best. He can only he can't solo tank, whereas Doctor Strange or Groot can solo tank. Bruce Banner, and we'll talk about Spider later, cannot solo tank. And if you're stuck with solo tanks on them, that's not the best. Next we have Iron Man, who I will also be putting in B. I believe that the aerial characters are a bit too slow in movement, and this is also like a design standpoint for Iron Man. Whenever you're using his flight, like the actual flight move that's supposed to be like your thrusters and everything, you feel like you're moving so slow and sluggish that it kind of kills the theme of Iron Man, especially if you play him versus Star-Lord, who's actually zipping around the map and whatnot. He feels just very, very clunky on the field. He's higher than Storm because his attacks actually do different things, and his ultimate is probably just as strong as Storm's. And I believe that his standard attack is a little bit better than Storm's because it has that kind of AoE feel to it. So that's why Iron Man is placed higher than Storm. Then we have Loki, who I will put at... I'm going to put him at A tier. And that's simply because of the difficulty that it is to play him. Along with the fact that his left shift is on a bit too high of a cooldown, in my opinion. His ultimate is based off of who's on the field. Usually it's game changing, but sometimes it can be a little... Because, you know, if you're taking over a duelist and you're down one healer while you're doing your duelist things. Stuff like that. Granted, you take over somebody like the Punisher and you're kind of, you know, healing through killing other people rather rapidly. He has very high healing capability, very high damage capability, but sadly he's just outclassed by another healer. Magic, I'm going to also put it A tier. I believe she is the best of the melee heroes by a large margin. She has the ability to harass, she has the ability to stick around, she has the ability to escape rather easily. She can take on multiple enemies at once, and her ultimate just allows her to tear apart the enemy team. Magneto, I'm going to put at a B tier down with Bruce Banner. He can solo tank. However, the only reason why he's at a B tier is because so much of his damage is tied into having a Scarlet Witch on the field. Due to the fact that he has to have a Scarlet Witch on the field to get the full potential of his damage, and it is such an astronomical difference in damage, he really brings him down in tier. That and the fact that his ultimate is nearly useless. It does very, very little damage. It has to almost precisely hit. And then even if it does hit, there's no knockback, there's no stun or anything. It's just damage. And while you're doing it, you're announcing it very, very loudly. People can just easily avoid it or shield it or anything. It is just... He has a useless ultimate. His damage, too much of his damage is tied into another character having to be on the field. If he had his greatsword, and if the ultimate either stunned or knocked back or something, he would easily be S tier. But I can't even put him in A tier because of the limitations that they've given him. Be that as it may, he's still the tank that I had the most playtime with because he's a ton of fun to play. But he's definitely higher than Bruce Banner, so we'll put him at the highest tier of B. In fact, Bruce Banner is probably lower than Iron Man in my opinion. Next we have Mantis, who I will also be putting at B. She has good healing. She can up the damage of the team. She has a really powerful ultimate. Her downside is that her damage is a little lacking. And she's just one of those healers that the other healers, all of them just do what she does, but better. And sadly, I can't say too much about her. I enjoy playing her, but she is a little one note in that regard. So, yeah. Next, we'll be moving on to Namor, who I believe is an A. Other people rank him somewhat low, and I'm not sure why. He outputs a lot of damage. And though I know I just complained about Magneto needing Scarlet Witch on the field, if you have Luna Snow on the field, his damage is rather greatly increased because of the extra turret that you get out there. And then if you're good with him, if you're hitting his attacks, you get a lot more turrets. And those turrets and the damage scale rapidly, which also helps you get your ultimate much faster. Your ultimate stuns anybody it hits and does a good bit of damage. So he's easily A tier for me. Now, we're going to get our first D tier with Black Panther. His combo system is far too punishing. If you don't get the combo off properly, if you accidentally hit the wrong targets with your combo ability, it goes on cooldown for 12 seconds. That is just way too punishing, especially considering it doesn't do enough damage and give you a big enough shield. He is a full dive-in character, like Magic, only doesn't survive as well as Magic. Now, again, this is at my level of play, this is in my hands, and this is in quick match setting. I'm sure that the top 500 level players and all that can play Black Panther to a level that I won't even understand. and can probably outclass a Magic on average or something like that. But in the hands of an average player, I don't think Black Panther is well suited in that regard because of the system that it was created for him. And I just think Magic does what he does so much better. Next, we have up a Spider. I'm going to put her at C. As much as I enjoyed her, I loved playing her in the beta. I find her a lot of fun. I find that the fact that all of your mines go away whenever you die, all of your mines go away whenever your ultimate ends, your spider nest is so easily destroyed. Your spider nest can be destroyed by a slight improper placement also, and go on full cooldown. That hopefully that gets fixed in the beta, because I saw that as a lot of feedback, and a lot of people upvoted that feedback saying, hey, we need to change this. Also, her health at 600 is just way too low for a tank with no like self-shielding or anything. She has her, if she's on her web, she heals up, but that healing rate is so slow that it doesn't even matter. And you also just have to have webs everywhere at that point. The stun that she's able to throw out lasts a half a second at most, and so that's doing almost nothing. You have to hit it precisely. I mean, yeah, it's good for like interrupting the flow of combat and all that, but she's basically just a damage dealer that has the tank icon on her name, and because of that, whenever they see that you pick Penny Parker, everybody's like, well, we have a tank, we might as well go ahead and pick something else, and that's just not very good. She cannot solo tank, and because of that, I'm going to put her way down in C. I think she just needs a lot more survivability to be considered a tank. She needs some sort of survivability. The next one, we're going to have our next S with the Punisher. I just think he is all around good. In fact, I think he's all around too good. With his long range capabilities, with his standard rifle, his shotgun tears apart tanks and any melee characters. His turret can help defend an area really well, and he has one of the strongest ultimates in the game, where he just pops it and just goes ahead and mows everybody down. I mean, a well-placed Loki, well-placed Magneto can help defend against that, but he's usually going to get at least 2 kills with his ultimate. I believe he is a bit too strong with his shotgun. If I had any feedback to give, which I have given feedback to the development team, is I would lower his shotgun by 2 bullets. I would make it 6 rounds instead of 8. I think that the Punisher should be punished for somebody getting in close to him, because he does have escapes. He has a fantastic escape with his little grappling hook, and he's able to get away. He should not be destroying people that he gets close to. And 8 bullets is just way too much. It allows him to miss. It allows him to tear apart tanks. Yeah, so... next up we have Rocket Raccoon, who I will be putting at the highest A tier. He has really high healing, really decent damage, a very nice ultimate, very nice mobility. Honestly, the only thing to say is that just the next healer is just slightly better than him, because his ultimate isn't as game-changing as hers. However, he's still a very, very good healer, and he's a very good damage dealer at the same time. And he's a nice hybrid. He's a nice enough hybrid that DPS will, or people who play the Duelist will actually want to play Rocket Raccoon. So you have people auto-locking in Rocket Raccoon rather often. He's a lot of fun to play. Also, he buffs the Punisher, which, as we just went over, is a little overtuned in my opinion. So then finally we have Luna Snow, who I'm going to be putting at S tier. She has very high healing capability, with the ability to heal basically 2 people at once at all times. You just put your guard on somebody. Especially a lot of times, one of the things that she can do that other healers can't do very well is heal people like Iron Man and Storm. Whenever Iron Man and Storm or Star-Lord or whatnot, they're zipping around or they're up in the air, they're hard to heal because they're usually away from the team. And it's hard to get your heals off on them. She drops their Snow Guard or whatever, I forgot the name of the ability on them. But anybody she heals also heals them. Then she can heal herself really easily, which is nice. And then her ultimate is basically, it might as well just be Loki's runes for a good, like, solid 15 seconds. Considering any damage you take usually is not going to be nearly enough to kill anybody within the circle that she creates, and that circle is massive. I don't think she's overtuned. I think that she's fine where she is because her damage output isn't the highest. Loki and Rocket definitely have higher damage capabilities than her. Mantis probably even has higher damage capabilities than her at some points, but her sheer healing is just on such a different level compared to the other healers that it puts her at S as a healer. Next up we have Spider-Man, who I will put down in personally. Again, people are going to disagree with me easily, but I'm going to put him in D tier, and again, it's because Magic just does what he does, but better, but Star-Lord also does what he does, but better, which I'll go into a bit more whenever I talk about Star-Lord next. But Spider-Man's job is to zip in, harass somebody, zip out. And his health is way too low. His difficulty of play is a bit too high with that. And I say that not as in, oh god, I suck with it, which I did. But I'm saying that the payoff for the skill level isn't there. Whenever you could just play something easier and get much more benefit from it. I'm not saying he's not fun to play. He's probably a ton of fun to play for those who can fully grasp his kit and everything. However, it's kind of like playing an RTS versus a MOBA. Why be great at StarCraft 2 whenever you can make much more money playing League of Legends style thing? Yeah. He's the StarCraft 2 and Magic is the League of Legends. One's a lot easier to play. I enjoy StarCraft 2 more than League of Legends, but that was just the example that I was giving there. And as I said, just somebody who does his job better, and I'll put Star-Lord at A tier. And because Star-Lord basically fits the same job as Spider-Man. He's supposed to get in there, he finds somebody specific, usually a healer, or one of the like hangback DPS, like Iron Man or Punisher or something like that, and he just picks on them. He does it a lot better because his damage output is a lot quicker with his quick reloads and all that. His ability to zip around, it's a lot harder to hit him than it is Spider-Man. He could do more area damage, and his ultimate is just better than Spider-Man's with auto aim and all that, especially if you're really good with the quick reload. Star-Lord just, again, does what Spider-Man does, but better. And that's just kind of sad to say that the two characters have such a vastly different playstyle and toolkit, yet do the same job to the point that one is just literally 3 tiers above him. Finally, we have Scarlet Witch, who, before I put down Scarlet Witch, I'm going to rearrange these, and I guess it's making me put, she's not in D. I'm rearranging these in the order. Well, I'll rearrange them at the end. So Scarlet Witch I'll also put in A tier. Very easy to play, very high payoff as well. She does a lot of damage. She doesn't require much aiming. And she does area damage. She has an ultimate that is able to be, it telegraphs very easily. Therefore, you're able to take her out of the sky. You're able to get rid of her easily for the unskilled player, because the unskilled player is going to pop it and they're going to try to jump into the middle. A skilled player is going to learn how to time her ultimate, hide behind walls, and pop out at the last second. And you can really tell the difference between somebody who's playing Scarlet Witch and somebody who's mastered Scarlet Witch. And because of that, her abilities, her sheer skill cap is enough to bring her into A tier. Almost S tier in my opinion, but not quite there. I think the ability to counter her ult with like a well-placed Loki makes her a little bit lower, and then she can get punished just by the Punisher. She can get nearly one shot by Hela, stuff like that. She can be countered by Magneto and Doctor Strange with their shields. So, but she's still a very, very, very good duelist. So we're going to take the time now to rearrange the different categories on which ones I actually think belong where. Black Panther and Spider-Man, I'm going to leave them just in their order because I believe that they both just entirely need some sort of buff in some way. Storm and Penny Parker, I think Penny Parker is slightly better than Storm. Just because of her trap capabilities. You play her on a defensive round or a domination round, those mines can quickly add up in damage. They can quickly add up in control power, her ability to knock back and get people away can really, really turn the tide in your favor. Whereas I feel like the only thing that's ever turned the tide in Storm's favor is her ultimate. As for B, we'll go ahead and leave Magneto where he is. I'll put Mantis up a little bit above Iron Man. I'll put Iron Man above Bruce Banner. Again, B is very playable characters, very good characters. Again, Magneto is S tier if you have Scarlet Witch on the field. He's B tier if you do not. That's how much of a big difference the Greatsword makes. And that's why he's the highest on the B tier. Mantis, again, really good healer. Her downfall is that literally the other healers are just better than her. Iron Man, really high damage healer, very good, and just comes down to the fact that he can be picked apart by people like Punisher and Hela a bit too easily. Bruce Banner, again, just his dive in gets a bit too Punisher. Again, a lot of this is just the overtunement of the Punisher, and everybody plays the Punisher. You always have a Punisher in the round, almost always, and he just gets destroyed by the Punisher. As for A, I'll go ahead and throw Namor will probably be at the bottom. I'd probably throw Scarlet Witch second. No, I'd probably throw Star-Lord above Scarlet Witch. This does not move well. Okay, so I think Rocket's probably the highest of the A tier with his combination of damage and healing and his really powerful ultimate that can help your team just turn the tides of battle or really hold down a point. Star-Lord does his job better than anybody else of harassing somebody. Again, the skill ceiling for Scarlet Witch is there. A fantastic Scarlet Witch is going to be S tier. A horrible Scarlet Witch is going to be D tier. And so that's where we're going to put her towards the middle of A. It's the same thing for Loki. He's a lot of fun to play. He's complicated to play, and therefore his skill ceiling's there. The better you are at Loki, the better you are controlling the field, the higher he's going to be. He could be S tier in the proper hands, but I think the average player, he's probably going to be B to A tier. Magic, I think it's a bit easy to get greedy with her because you can feel invincible once you're in the team, getting those massive cleaves off and whatnot. It may be hard to actually want to pull away whenever you feel everything going so perfectly. But yeah, so... And then we have Namor, who's just basically pure damage. He doesn't do anything spectacular. He can help control a point very well on domination maps, and if you're defending the convoy from like keeping it moving and all that, he's really good at that. But I believe he's just a really good damage dealer, and that's about it. As for the S tiers, honestly, it's hard to arrange the S tiers because I think they're all slightly overpowered in some way in their own regard. Doctor Strange's portal is insane with the ability to place it behind the enemy. You can really cause it. You don't even have to have ultimates. Just the enemy not knowing where you're coming from and you getting into their back line, taking care of their two healers, and then just picking them apart as they were not prepared for you, changes the game. His shield's regeneration rate is very fast and can block out masses of damage. Groot, his ability to create choke points, to block off choke points, his massive stun, his decent damage, all of it is just, a bit much. Hela, again, her insane damage. And then if you have a Loki on the field, she buffs Loki by shielding him or resurrecting him every time she kills somebody. Punisher, I think I've said enough about. And then Luna Snow's just complete absurd amount of healing she can do. I believe they're actually all on equal tier. Maybe the Punisher is the only one that goes above everybody else because I think he's the only one that I would actually nerf out of all of them. He's the only character that I feel actually deserves a nerf with the 2 bullets taken away from the shotgun. However, that is my tier list for everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, this is just my opinion. I know some people really enjoyed Black Panther, some people really enjoyed Spider-Man. I mean, I enjoyed Magneto a lot, I really enjoyed Spider. I think Storm's also fun to play, But this is coming from, I believe they could use some help in some way, or like for people like Black Panther and Spider-Man, they can use a bit more definement in some way. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to do the whole liking, subscribing, commenting, and all that stuff. And yeah, y'all have a good day. Goodbye.